The fear of rejection lives in every single one of us. Every single one of us have at least one fear of rejection. No matter what age group you are, we all have one common thing, is that we do not like rejection. Rejection has a very negative connotation. Let's start off by understanding what rejection is. When we look it up in the dictionary, I found that the meaning of rejection is dismissing or refusing of a proposal or an idea. Another meaning that I found is to refuse to accept, to refuse to consider, to refuse to submit to refuse to use, or to admit. So there's many meanings, and it applies to different areas of our lives. So I can't really tell you today about one specific rejection versus another one. So we're going to try, as I normally always do, to get up on my helicopter and start looking things from up above, from way far, and look at it from a holistic point of view, from a point that we can look at all different areas and leave here with 5 points that are going to help us cope with the fear of rejection. So the first thing I want to touch on, the first point, is to acknowledge your emotions. Pastor, what are you saying? Well, I'm going to try to explain this. Many people, after they experience a rejection, choose to suppress and ignore the pain of that rejection, and then deny that they have a pain from said rejection. So what happens? What happens with certain youth is, and certain people actually, because it happens with grown-ups too, and then they start feeling rejected, but the way they show the rejection in their bodies is by just staying quiet. They don't tell nobody. Nobody knows how they feel. And they start keeping those feelings inside. And that pain of rejection keeps growing inside. And the next thing you know, you start seeing these people and you start looking at them differently because you're hurt. And you start suppressing how you feel inside of you, and nobody knows except you.
Wow.
And the rest of the group keep walking, and they keep living life, and they keep going to school, and they keep seeing you in the hallway, they keep seeing you in class, they keep seeing you in the lunchroom, and you have, or they have no idea how you're feeling. Because you are trying to ignore, you're trying to suppress that feeling inside of you. But the correct way to approach your rejection is to admit when you are embarrassed, to admit when you are sad,
Wow.
to admit when you're disappointed, to admit when you're discouraged. We must master the ability to deal with uncomfortable emotions head on. You understand that? We need to master the ability to tackle these problems head on, which is essential to coping with discomfort in a healthy way. It's not a matter of if, but rather a matter of when. In other words, rejection will come to our lives. Rejection is around the corner in our lives in different aspects, because it's not just in school. It could be at home. It could be at the grocery store. It could be at work. It could be at a government's office. It could be in the courtroom. Wherever you are, you might face rejection. After we acknowledge our emotions, the next step is pushing limits equals rejection. Well, what does that mean, Pastor? Let me try to break it down. Rejection often comes to those that are pushing the limits. If you are sitting on your hands, listen up. If you're sitting on your hands, which means you're not doing anything, and you're waiting for a handout, there's a great possibility that you will never feel rejected. Think about that for a minute. On the other hand, when you are always doing something to better yourself and to better the life of other people, the time will come when you will be rejected. In other words, if you're just a follower, there's a very slim chance you're going to feel rejected. But if you're a leader, trust me, it's a matter of time.